This video is sponsored by K&F Concept. I keep coming back to this camera, and I don't know why. I mean, I do, it's gorgeous, right? But when I have it, after a while I get annoyed with it and sell it. And then when I sell it, I blooming miss it and then buy it again. And I've had this cycle repeat for several years. So I want to really use the heck out of this camera for the next 2 weeks while I'm here in Cape Town and just really investigate, like, why is it so popular, and have the annoyances got better over time now that I've been more experienced as a photographer? Or will the annoyances lead me to sell it again? I don't think it will. Right now I'm in the honeymoon phase again, but we shall see. I think this camera is clearly meant to be looked at because it's gorgeous, but I think more than that, it's meant to be felt. I think it's so well thought out with lots of different textures. There's things here that could easily just be like in a digital menu, but they're physical buttons and dials and switches instead. Like you have your photo profile button on the front, which could easily have been a menu. And the one that gets me every time is like there's a highlight and shadow rocker on the back, which could definitely be in a menu, and it is in a menu on the OM system OM3. So I think the whole ethos of the Pen F and why it's so loved is it really is like a hands-on traditional photography experience. Everything is laid out for you and you don't have to root in the menus all that much, which I personally love, as it does have the older Olympus menus. I think the Pen F is like a perfect mix between old school traditional photography and more modern digital photography. Sometimes confusingly so. How old do you think the camera is?
2 days.
2 days old. What year do you think it came out?
25 years old.
25? 2014?
2014.
It's 10 years old this year.
Oh, cool.
But it's timeless, isn't it? It kind of looks old and new. Magic. It is literally so hot today that my feet are burning on the balcony, and it's like not even 10 a.m. One fact that I love about the Pen F is there is not a single visible screw in the entire design. Everything is hidden and everything is seamless and thought out. And I didn't know how rare that was. Like, pick up a random camera that you own. There's so few, if any, other cameras around where you can't see any of the screws. I just think it's a feat of engineering. I need to go inside now. I've been traveling for 2 weeks now, and one product that I never go away without now is this K&F travel tripod. It's perfect for your phone, it's got MagSafe, and it's perfect for things like this if you're shooting like an Osmo Pocket, for example. I've been using it overnight to get time lapses through the window. I've been using it to get time lapses when I'm out and about. I've been using it to talk to camera like I am now. And you don't have to just sort of sit down with it. It's super versatile. Now I'm standing up. How cool. I love that I can use it with multiple devices. I love that it's very small and incognito. And I think it's just a great device whether you're shooting tiny cameras, action cameras, or your phone. And I blooming love how it opens as well. You can just, on the bottom, and it just opens. It's so satisfying to use. So if you'd like to check this product out, or any other that K&F Concept have, then check out the links in the description, and let's get back to the nerdiness. Let me just get some water. I think the Pen F is that pretty. It didn't look too out of place as part of like my wedding outfit. I'm in Cape Town for my good friend Josh cameraman's wedding. I was a guest. He had a professional photographer. I was just there as a guest, so I didn't want to get in the way. And it really occurred to me like how the Pen F is just the perfect sort of camera for this. It looks stylish enough and it's small enough that you don't look like you're going to paparazzi people. But because it has an electronic shutter, if you want it to, you can put it in silent mode, you can get really incognito photographs of everyone. And I loved that mixture of old and new. You've got all the tactile dials, you've got a viewfinder, it looks nice and robust, but then it's quiet enough that you don't get in anyone's way, which should always be the goal if you're not actually the photographer at a wedding. I don't want to be an Uncle Bob, as we call them in the UK. I think I did get some really nice candid photos just from my seat at the wedding and just, you know, mingling with people. And I'm really, really impressed with this. In fact, when I sent them over, Josh didn't even realise that I'd been taking photos. It was a nice little surprise for him. So yay. I didn't cause a disturbance, but got some good photos. Win-win. Yep, it's Josh's world and we're all living in it.
I'll live by Josh. Go on the live by Josh. Yeah.
I love taking photos of him when he's doing this as he goes round. It's very amusing.
Nature walk on the boy. Oh shit, man, background.
Here are some straight out of camera JPEGs for your viewing pleasure compared to how I edit them. I edit them using my City Escape pack mostly, which you can find on my website if you're interested. I've used the custom profile settings from my OM3 video. Some of the settings are more updated on the OM3, but most of them will port over to the Pen F, and you can find a full breakdown of that in my OM3 video, which I'll link in the description. And I'm still obsessed with the monochrome. So, why did I sell the Pen F the first time around? I think I was in a stage of my life and budget where I really needed a camera that could do everything. So I sold it and got the GH5. But not all cameras need to do everything. In fact, there are the categories of the do everything camera, like the OM System OM3, I would put in that category, and a lot of the Lumix cameras, which are really good hybrid cameras. And then there are cameras that just do photography really blooming well, like your Ricos, your Fujifilms, and definitely the Olympus Pen F. And I was just at a point in my YouTube and stuff where that wasn't enough for me, but I think that's why I've always regretted it and always wanted to get it again. Because as long as you go into buying the Pen F knowing that it's photocentric, you might have to slow down to use it, it can be quite a magical experience. My goodness, it's not perfect. I do think the autofocus isn't the best, so if you're a wildlife enthusiast, don't be getting this camera. But if you enjoy the idea of just taking your time, getting your settings right, dialing in your JPEGs, having a really physical experience, a tactile experience, it's absolutely wonderful. And I'm so glad that I own one again. On one particularly lovely day at the waterfront, I was reminded exactly why I sometimes find the Pen F so frustrating. I wanted to do a time lapse, but I couldn't for the life of me remember where the time lapse settings were. The menus are just so deep and convoluted, and 90% of the time you're outside of the menus and it doesn't matter, but on those times where you're in the menus, it's not the best. I even resorted to pulling out a manual at one point. I had to download a PDF. Oh, there it is. There it is. There it is. Okay. Okay. 10 years later, nothing's changed. I'm so glad that OM System have since updated their menus, and I think the menus and the tricky autofocus reliability are literally the only two things holding the Pen F back. If you can live with them, it's a wonderful camera. And I did find the settings eventually. How does the Olympus Pen F compare to the OM System OM3? In some ways, I think the OM3 is the exact opposite of the Pen F, in the sense that with the OM3 you can do everything with it. It's pretty good for video. It's really, really good for wildlife and sports. It's great because it's weather sealed, but it is that much bigger, which will put people off. With the Pen F, it's very methodical. As I've been saying, it's lots of thinking and being very present with your photography and using a very specific tool for a very specific job. Whereas with the OM3, I think it's like you can take that with you anywhere, as I have, whether that's shooting puff-ins or action shots or whatever you may run across, the OM3 will do it. But then it's bigger and obviously more expensive. And honestly, for this kind of trip with the Pen F, where I've been taking photographs of my friends, and it's been great and quiet and incognito in a wedding, and it's stylish enough that I can take it out to wine tours and fancy places and not have it look, you know, out of place. I mean, I had this on the table next to the S9s and also the X100 series of cameras. It was really interesting seeing what everyone's different cameras were on this trip, and it was quite cool that the usual suspects did crop up, and this didn't look out of place. I'd honestly love to see an alternate sort of timeline where OM System realised that they had struck gold all along with the Pen F series of cameras. I wonder what would have happened if they'd have just doubled down on that instead of wildlife. Maybe the Pen F Mark IV would be out now, for example, and it would be one of the more popular cameras against all these other really, really popular everyday carry cameras. I think it's an interesting thought process because it certainly ticks a lot of boxes for me, and I've used all of the alternatives. So it really does do a very good job, even though it's 10 years older. Call me sentimental or endlessly optimistic. I really have hope that OM System will refresh this line one day. I mean, they're leaving so much money on the table if they don't, surely. And if not, even though it's 10 years old, it's still stunning and one of the very best cameras if you are a camera collector. There's very few things like it even now. And I know for sure, either way, I'm definitely not selling it again.